in West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Six a.m. in the Mile High City on this Tuesday, August 5th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. We got an absolutely fantastic show for you today. Excited to talk about all this stuff. Denver bond. $950 million? $1 billion? Check that. With interest payments, you, Denver voters, are going to be on the hook for $2 billion. And what for? Lots of artsy projects out there. You're gonna redo the lounge up at Red Rocks. We'll talk about this coming up here in just a second. Democrats fleeing the state of Texas. Welcome to states like Illinois, New York, where they have no gerrymandering issues whatsoever, right? Of course not. Democrats in Texas fleeing in an effort to try to stall Texas Republicans from passing a quote-unquote gerrymandered bill that would change the congressional layout of the state, and Democrats aren't happy. Are they righteous in their frustration, or is this a little bit of hypocrisy? And Gavin Newsom jumping in the mix now. We'll give you the latest on that in the 7 o'clock hour. Ian Escalante, Rocky Mountain gun owners, is going to join us in the 8 o'clock hour. Denver Post out with an article about all the problems with the gun shops. That's right. Denver Post kind of surprised that the gun shops of Colorado are having such a hard time now with all the bills passing. We'll talk about that and what Second Amendment advocates and gun lovers and gun shop owners are trying to do to fight back against this. We'll get into that in the 8 o'clock hour. Jimmy Sengenberger join us in the 9 o'clock hour on his latest piece about Denver public schools and the immigration game exposed there, as well as his latest article on Do Better Denver. So, great show. Lots to talk about. Most importantly, though, your phone calls and texts. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Or text us at 720-819-5115. Now it's time for News and Comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, News and Comment.
Good morning. Tuesday, 65 and some clouds out there, expecting a high of 98 today. This portion of the news sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, Aurora police say at least 4 people are recovering from injuries after a commuter rail train and a semi crashed near the intersection of Smith Road and Sable on Monday. The train operator has injuries from broken glass and 3 passengers suffered minor injuries. 57 passengers were on the train at the time. 5 people are dead from a head-on crash Monday south of Kremlin. Both vehicles caught on fire. 5 people were pronounced dead on the scene, and another was transported to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Another step forward to seeking justice in the Russia hoax, attempted coup in 2016 by the deep state Democrats. John Solomon, Just the News.
This is a major development. We told you last week that Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, had given permission for a strike force to begin. That's a very specific tool the Justice Department uses on major conspiracies. And we told you then we would know it was getting serious when the grand jury jumped into action. We now know that a grand jury will be impaneled. Most likely, my sources are telling me, it could be in Florida, where the raid of President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home happened. So that.
And then here's how the propaganda news, commie news on TV, how they communicated the story. NBC.
Remember, they had announced a strike force to look into what they call this new evidence and try to evaluate it to see if there could be any potential criminal indictments that they would follow. And the thing that matters here is that this is basically a grand jury investigation that's being launched, but that will happen in secret. This is behind closed doors, and it's completely unclear whether it will yield anything new. It's unclear that we will ever learn anything new about it because it could be under seal, but it really does bear repeating. This is looking into something for which there is no evidence to back it up, and it's really, it seems, a politically motivated move to keep the focus on one of the president's clear political foes and talk about basically anything else.
Yeah, nothing to see here. Not a big thing. It's just a political story. And even though NBC back in 2016 all the way through 2020 and beyond made this thing like the biggest thing since the atomic bomb was dropped, talking about the Russia collusion with Trump and Russia and Putin, which was a complete lie. So more will develop today. 7 people were taken to the hospital after a crash last night in Aurora. 2 vehicles involved at the intersection of Mississippi and Sable. Aurora Fire Rescue had to extricate at least one person from a vehicle involved in the crash. At least 3 of the people hospitalized had serious injuries. Investigation underway. Aurora Police Chief Todd Chamberlain says a suspect forced his way into an apartment in the 1000 block of Cimarron Circle early Sunday morning. 2 women and 5 children tried to hide in a bathroom, and the suspect allegedly shot both women in the head. One of the women died, while the other was hospitalized and may not survive. None of the children were injured, thankfully. Police arrested, here we go, 30-year-old Michael Jordan Castellano Fonseca Monday. He's an illegal from Venezuela who entered the U.S. in 2023. Thank you very much, Joe Biden. Israel appears to be poised to move forward with a plan to take full control of the Gaza Strip. A source in Prime Minister Netanyahu's office says the decision has been made. The country's security cabinet is set to meet today to discuss the next steps in the war. Governor Abbott, Texas, civil arrest warrants have been issued for lawmakers who left the Lone Star State to deny the chamber a quorum on Monday. More than 50 Democrats fled to commie states like Illinois, New York, and Massachusetts to prevent Republicans from advancing redistricting maps aimed at adding up to 5 GOP seats ahead of the 2026 midterms. That is how they handle this stuff. Rockies drilled by the Jays 15-1. First pitch tonight, 6:40 at Coors Field. Broncos training camp continues. Wyoming, CSU, CU, Air Force continue camp along with all the other programs in the state. College football. 62 in Castle Pines, 64 in Wheat Ridge, 65 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue on Tuesday. Kicking it off here on a Tuesday. Blake Olson. I need to kick it off. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Your 710 5-day forecast, it's going to be mostly sunny and hot today, and that'll set the trend for basically the rest of the work week. This afternoon, we're going to see highs in the middle and upper 90s with clear skies tonight and lows in the mid-60s. Upper 90s for Wednesday and Thursday, might even hit 100 in spots, keeping it sunny and dry with lows upper 60s, trending cooler in the 80s this weekend. Weather brought to you by L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, dependable service, call 720-851-1691 or visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Sending a $1 billion Vibrant Denver bond package to voters. This happened last night, Denver Gazette reporting. Denver voters will decide in a November 4th election whether to approve Mayor Mike Johnston's 6-year, roughly $1 billion Vibrant Denver borrowing proposal to fund infrastructure and road improvements, libraries, parks, and recreational amenities in the city. The Denver City Council voted unanimously to refer the plan to the ballot, which will ask voters for authorization to issue general obligation bonds of up to $950 million. The council also asked voters to consider 5 additional bills individually that each cover each of the 5 categories of the projects. It's not a perfect bond, but it is what we have with $950 million. The biggest, I think, in Denver's history, said Denver City Council President Amanda Sandoval. Despite earlier differences on what projects to fund, most council members acknowledge the need for additional funding. Yeah, no joke. They're $250 million in debt. If you remember, the city is now furloughing and even laying off certain employees with regards to the fact that they're $250 million in debt. Now, reminder that this is close to roughly about the $356 million that Common Sense Institute says they spent on illegal immigrants. This was just about a year ago. Now that a year and a half ago that we had 40,000 illegal immigrants come to Denver, and the mayor, and remember this, there were 2 different ideas on what to do. The city of Aurora, Mayor Mike Kaufman, Danielle Jurinsky, the rest of the city council members going, look, we don't have the money for this. Our money goes to taxpayers first. It goes to their services. We're not going to provide our services to illegal immigrants. Now, there's an actual lawsuit, debate, frustration, fight taking place between Mayor Mike Kaufman and Mayor Mike Johnston because, according to Mayor Mike Kaufman, Mayor Mike Johnston of Denver was sending illegal immigrants over into Aurora without notifying him. Hence, you get the whole Tren de Aragua, Aurora apartment complex, national, international story that took place. So Aurora itself says we're not going to serve illegal immigrants. The city of Denver, on the other hand, goes, no, we are. We think that this is good for our community. We think that they contribute to our community, and we're going to provide services for them. Those services included 6 months of apartment living, which, let me help draw the map here. So Mayor Mike Johnston, 6 months of apartment living for illegal immigrants, puts them in Aurora, and after 6 months, the illegal immigrants that weren't paying rent were not paying rent. And then you get the frustration with the landowners and who's paying and all that stuff. That's how that happened, okay? That was just one of the services that the city provided. 6 months of apartments. They actually give them ATM cards to buy groceries. They gave them attorneys to work through the whole illegal immigration process, and then they did workforce training. So with all that, City of Denver, $356 million in debt. Well, now, or $356 million spent on illegal immigrants, now $250 million in debt. They are now proposing a $950 million bond in order to help pay for the services. Now, and analysts look at this and go, well, this isn't $950 million. This isn't even $1 billion. When this is all paid off, the city is going to spend $2 billion. So they're assuming, on top of the bond that they're going to get in, which is about $1 billion, the city is now going to assume another $1 billion of debt in order to fund some of its projects. So this is what you, the voters, the city of Denver, are going to get to vote on. Here's some of the expenditures, okay? Now, granted, yes, good portion of it's going to go to roads, it's going to go to basic services. But some of the expenditures, especially in light of the debt problem and the fact, remember this, that the city is furloughing and even laying off employees, okay? Some of the money in our analysis of the, by the way, Vibrant Denver bond, Mayor Mike Johnston's commitment to the phrase Vibrant Denver is impressive. This is the Vibrant Denver bond package. Unnecessary expenditures. Number one, $20 million for an American Indian cultural embassy. $20 million, American Indian cultural embassy. So, okay, I mean, the idea here is that, and I've looked up what they're proposed to do. This is to create a welcoming space for people back to their homelands. And it's going to be out by the airport. And it's collaboration with different tribes like the Cheyenne and the Arapaho, all that stuff. Okay, $20 million. I think what we've learned with Trump and the ballroom, for instance, is that if it's something you really want, if it's something that the political leadership really wants, well, then they can pay for it. But to ask taxpayers in the city of Colorado, the city of Denver, that are already in debt to the tune of $250 million, $356 million spent on illegal immigrants, you are now going to fund a bond for $20 million for an American Indian cultural embassy aimed at creating a space to welcome people back to their homelands. All right, next of this boondoggle of a package. Now, Bill, these next two, I want your perspective on this, okay? Because I don't go to Red Rocks. Red Rocks backstage expansion to the tune of $39.1 million. A nearly $40 million package to improve facilities, including dressing rooms, kitchen, parking. Bill, you're a Red Rocks aficionado. You've been, I'm guessing, backstage.
Yeah.
A few times.
More than a few,
maybe,
but yeah. Yeah, quite a few.
Maybe it's so bad, there's like cockroaches everywhere and dripping water from the ceilings, and just, it's so disgusting that, yes, $40 million is necessary because of this iconic landmark that needs to be improved so that the greatest entertainers of the world can feel welcome. I could be wrong. Your thoughts, Mr. Thorpe?
From what I understand, Red Rocks is a revenue generator. So
yeah,
I would say that yes, these are improvements that financially do make sense. Unlike when you highlighted the American Indian Cultural Embassy, I don't see the revenue generation source there. Red Rocks is considered to be the best medium-sized outdoor venue in North and South America, if not the world. It's considered in the top 3. So this is something that is unique to Colorado, and people travel not only across the country, but from around the world to go and see a show. So it is a draw. I have been to performances there where nobody within 12 people left or right of me is from Colorado. They've all flown in. And that's airline, that's hotel, that's food. The other part is, because of how it was built, there are problems there. The number one thing in that list that I look at is parking. That's where I think the majority of the improvement will be felt by those people that frequent Red Rocks. I think it's necessary. The next thing would be the kitchen. I'm not as pushed as far as backstage, but backstage I understand. It's complicated, it's weird, and more than anything else, it's small. They put it into a lot of different smaller rooms. There are a series of side rooms and small rooms and other things rather than in just the main backstage area in Red Rocks. But an expansion to be able to provide for things like the kitchen, but most importantly, parking lots, oh, hell yes. Yeah, and again, I do it because it's a revenue generator. It is a draw. It's a reason people come here. It's a reason people here in Colorado spend cash. It's just
so if it is a revenue generator, and not to say that anything you said should be dismissed. In fact, it sounds like it should happen. Can't it happen from the revenue generated from ticket sales? Is this necessary to put upon the taxpayers of Denver to update?
Well, the taxpayers of Denver own it. So who else would pay for it? The idea is who gets the bill?
You have to take out a bond to do it.
I know, but the question is who gets the bill? We can talk about spending priorities inside of Denver, and that's fair. But nobody else is going to get the bill. This isn't the Denver Broncos. And again, hold your horses, kids, because my guess is sometime in the next 5 years, we are seeing the Broncos launch an idea for a new stadium that will be subsidized by us, the taxpayers.
Yep.
There we have a private ownership group wanting to build a stadium and wanting public subsidy. That's not the case with Red Rocks. So the thing for me with Red Rocks is if we don't pay the bill, nobody else does. So we need to. So for me, there are things there. But here's the idea. I understand the idea that you're looking at this line number going, oh, that's too much to be spending right now. Chances are, if we were given the entire budget, you and I could go through and line item a whole bunch of stuff that we think is excessive and stupid that the city is spending stuff on. Yeah. But for me, if we're going to start spending money on things, I mean, I'm not in for the Indian Cultural Center, but Red Rocks, Betcher Concert, improvements, those seem to be revenue generators.
Look, I'm not saying that the people of Denver or the city of Denver shouldn't pay this. Yeah, but when you typically budget out with regards to buildings and things, you create what's called a deep depreciation fund, which means out of the revenue you're generating, you're going to set money aside in anticipation for improvements coming later. You know that the air conditioning unit, for instance, in a 20-year-old building is probably going to be up in the next 5 or 6 years. So now we're going to start to plan to improve the air conditioner that we know we're going to have to replace in 5 or 6 years. In this case, the city of Denver is like, no, we're going to take out a literal 50% interest, or maybe it's 100%. We're going to double, so it's 100% interest almost. A bond in order to pay for this. My question is, why couldn't you, as the manager of the venue that is generating revenue, create a depreciation fund so that you don't have interest on these improvements?
Couldn't we do the same thing for our roads? Couldn't we have done the same thing for our schools? Couldn't we have done?
But those aren't.
Couldn't we have done? I know, but no. But what I'm saying is, couldn't we have done, and then fill in the blank? We can pick any state or government entity and basically say, shouldn't they have done the same thing? And then we can go back to, then it wouldn't cost as much based on, but these are just budget priorities. I understand. And the idea of floating the bonds for this, given how Denver spent the money, is rather dumb. I'm not necessarily in favor of this. I think they're getting over their skis based on debt load. I think they're going to have problems based on bonds. I think they're going to have problems based on interest rates. Yeah, but some of these things do need to be done. And if you say, well, why didn't they set aside 4? Do we then just not do it? That's the other thing then. And I understand, okay, maybe we can go a little bit and don't have to do it with Red Rocks. Okay, then do we not do it for roads? Do we not do it for other things inside of, if that set aside hasn't been done, if that's the reason why we don't do it, then what do we do? Because I don't see the government, whether it's run by Republicans or Democrats, doing that ever. We talk about it. They spend other people's money. So if that's the reason why we don't want to pay for it now, I question that as far as the bar, as far as making the choices.
Well, I mean, if this venue is generating revenue, I'd like to know where the revenue is going. Where is it? Is the revenue generated from Red Rocks, owned by the city of Denver, going to, for instance, homeless hotels? So we're taking something that's profitable. We're now taking the money and putting it into something that I would consider as a waste. And then we're going to go to voters and say, you need to take on a debt load to the tune of 100% interest. So we're going to double the amount that's owed. Well, I guess we got to pay back the money plus, 100% of it is in addition to that. So you're going $1 billion plus another $1 billion. So you have money coming in. We're now sending it somewhere else, which I don't know. I don't know where that revenue is going, but it's obviously a profitable venue. So I'm just saying, if you have money coming in, why not, as the budget manager, go, we're going to allocate that money towards a depreciation line with the expectation that we're going to improve the venue that's generating us money so we can maybe possibly get more money from it. Instead, the city of Denver is going, man, we're going to go put that somewhere else, and you, the voter, is going to take up a debt load in order to improve Red Rocks. I see it a little differently. All right. Next one, Bill. $20 million for Betcher Concert Hall improvements, funding high-end arts venues at this time when we're facing some debt problems. $20 million to Betcher Concert Hall.
Yeah, for me, again, revenue generator. The idea of wanting to have those touring plays, and if you don't improve Betcher, if you just sit there and go, well, let's just let it, continue to degrade. Again, do you end up pulling some of those larger shows? Some of those, do you get Hamilton? Do you get some of the big first run shows that you're able to draw right now because of it being a premium event center? The other one would be some of the smaller event centers do help out as well. And if, again, we're talking about running Denver, if you want people to go to downtown Denver, that is one of the number one reasons they will, is to go down there to see a show. That will draw people into the metro that normally won't visit there. So, again, we can talk about crime, homelessness, everything else that deters whether or not they go out to eat or whether or not they spend more time there, even come back. But that is a draw to bring people downtown. If we're looking at revitalizing downtown Denver, yeah, for me, that one would be necessary. That one absolutely would be necessary. But again, I could be persuaded based on what the number is, and if we go through and figure out what it is that we need to have redone, just like with the Red Rocks thing, like the Red Rocks expansion, if we are looking at not necessarily spending on dressing rooms, because I haven't been in the dressing rooms in 18 years, probably 15, 16, probably last time I saw a dressing room. I mean, I've been backstage in like the hospitality area. I've been in some other side rooms, but dressing room, it's been a number of years. So I don't think I'm accurate based on size there. But if that's not where we want to spend the money, but we want to spend money and cut the money we're spending on do stuff on kitchen and parking lots, yeah, I think parking lots need a lot of money there. I think you need to improve parking lot and access and a number of things there. So I can be persuaded to lower the number, but even with Betcher, yeah, I think that's, if you're talking about bringing people downtown and bringing national touring plays and shows here, yeah, you need to improve Betcher, yeah.
I'm with 8422. Text messages coming in on this one. If they're revenue generators, why can't they be self-sustained? I think the city of Denver is taking that money and spending it somewhere else. Now, I don't know, but I'm guessing they are. If they're having to ask for bond money for improvements on things that are making money. Here's another one. Denver Zoo, $3 million. Originally wanted $50 million. Denver Zoo will get $3 million. Again, if you're generating revenue, if you're making money, why is it the taxpayer that has to make improvements there? Park Hill Golf Course to park conversion. Now, this one I might be okay with, actually, Bill. It's going to be a big one. $70 million to turn Park Hill Golf Course into a park conversion. I like good city parks. You ever been to Central Park in New York?
Yeah, but what is the Park Hill Golf Course conversion? And again, what is it going to do? And again, $70 million for a park?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Consulate.
Okay. How? Because isn't it just a golf course? I mean,
well, it's got to be converted.
Why? I mean, couldn't I literally get some friends or go to the frat houses in Boulder and get a bunch of guys to throw dirt and grass into the sand traps and cover up the holes on the greens? And what? I mean, what I'm looking at, and this is why this number shocked me. It's a golf course. Last time I checked, and I worked on one for a while, large open spaces with grass.
What's a sand park? Traps, Bill. People are going to fall into sand traps.
What's a park? Large open spaces with grass and trees. They have automatic sprinkler systems already set. Irrigation systems already set. Grass, trees, already there. What in the hell are they spending $70 million on? How many sand traps are there? I mean, is it $70 million on building a large playground system? What are we doing? That's what I got a question about, because last time I checked, a golf course is pretty damn close to a park as we're sitting there. Really close. Real close to a park. So what are we spending $70 million on? That's what I'm curious about in this entire list.
The funny thing is, I like good quality, parks in a major city, so I'm like, well, okay, I'm willing, but maybe not $70 million. But
golf course. Golf course is 3/4 of the way to being a park as it is. The only thing that really makes the difference is the age of the people there and the ridiculous pants they're wearing. Pretty much the only difference. That's it.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
$7 million for Echo Lake Lodge renovation. It's a mountain lodge with overnight accommodations and concession areas again.
The thing for me is, I know Echo Lake Lodge.
These things are making
neat.
money. Why are we having the taxpayers?
The thing for me is Echo Lake Lodge, I'm not certain how much revenue that one is making per se, just because it's way out of the way. It's way up in the mountains. So it's unusual. It's neat to be there. That seems excessive. That to me, I would love to see what the budget items are on $7 million for the lodge renovation, because I would be hard pressed to, last time I was there, to figure out $7 million I can spend to really renovate that place. And the other thing is, it's not, if we spend $7 million there, I don't think it's going to draw more people per se. You might get a few more, but I don't think it's going to be a major change. Where I look at the things like Betcher, and if Betcher falls into disrepair, I don't think it's there yet, but if we refuse to do some improvements, we will see shows and people stop going there. So we'll see shows not tour here, and then we'll see people not show up to shows. So I think there's more of a detrimental impact there. The Echo Lake Lodge thing is, for me, give or take, honestly.
All right, here's some other dumb ones that the taxpayers have done. And if you guys pass this, I'm just going to, you all got to deal with your own debt problems at that point. $1 million for Artway Art and signage to decorate bike trails and art installations. That's $1 million. Santa Fe District Streetscape. All right, I may make some listeners mad. Hey, I do that on a daily basis. But the Santa Fe Arts District is one of the dumbest places in Denver. I'm sorry. But $30 million for sidewalks, landscaping, and beautification in an already gentrified arts district.
Yeah.
I don't think Santa Fe Arts District's all that nice. I mean, I've gone to a few restaurants there, but it's not a place I hang out with.
Thing for me is this, that, okay, if we're looking at sidewalks, okay, I can go for sidewalks and some of the basic infrastructure, and we'll get to the phones in a sec. But if we're looking at beautification and some other stuff. I know some artists here in town that'll do it for free. They'll go and they'll paint things. And again, we can talk about various levels. I mean, we can talk about someone that's been trained by some masters in Florence, Italy, or someone that spends their time tagging walls in downtown Denver. I have friends on all spectrums, so it depends on what we're looking for. I've got a guy or a woman for you. I can find someone that can do the art. I can see sidewalks and things like that, landscaping, beautification. I'm
How
less
about
persuaded.
a bike pump track? Now, I had to look this up. Now, this is a specific track for bikes that don't have pedals, and you pump them in order to move, and the city of Denver would like $2 million to create a Southwest bike pump track. Just a reminder, I want to go back to the beginning of this segment when I just pointed out we're $250 million in debt and people are losing their jobs in the city of Denver. And taxpayers, which, by the way, are not bringing in as much revenue as they used to. You're going to spend $2 million on a bike pump track.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of this one, simply because of I'm a kid of the 80s, and we had those when I was little, but they were called empty fields. That's what it was. It was an empty field. That's what we had the uppy downs, the loopy doos. We set up our own ramps. Empty field. That's it. Again, when we're having things like skateboard parks, I'm more persuaded there because skateboarding in and around in other urban areas when they're doing tricks and things can be problems. Not so much with biking. I can see biking trails, and how much time have we spent giving ourselves biking lanes in Denver? So I am not persuaded at all to create your own bicycle park, because I've been out at Washington Park on a Sunday, a whole lot of bikes, and they're all going in a big giant circle. Zoom, 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 zoom. You know what? You're doing just fine. There are places you can ride your bike elsewhere. This, I'm not persuaded at all that we need this. And shout out to Melissa. She was talking about that maybe some of the painting they were talking about, and she's not sure, in the Santa Fe Arts District or the Artway Art and Signage. She said she could get behind it if it were those vans and trucks that she sees out there covering up the graffiti. She goes, hey, if they're spending more money on covering the graffiti, great. But then she's in favor of it. So I wanted to give a shout out to Melissa. Yeah, on that one.
In the Santa Fe Arts District, I don't know. I kind of see it as meh.
Yeah,
I'm not an artist, but
yeah.
I mean, there's not like great restaurants and entertainment and all that stuff through the Santa Fe Arts District.
For me, it's the sidewalks. It's the idea of the functionality. Is, can I navigate around there? And that I can be persuaded on. That I can, as far as sidewalks. Yeah. Everything else, I'm a little less. I think that at this time, based on the budget, I'm not as much in favor of. But if to get the average voter in and around whatever neighborhood it is, yes, sidewalks should be improved. I can get behind that one.
Well, there's general improvements baked into this, which, I think a lot of reasonable people would look at and go, okay, we're willing to do that. $75 million for a public safety training center, $89 million, and an additional $50 million for critical bridge repairs, 6th Street, 8th Street, and different viaducts, $5 million to $15 million for street paving and signal improvements, $10 to $20 million for healthcare centers and shelter ADA upgrades. But when you're looking at over $200 million of this $1 billion towards beautification, arts, parks, and cultural facilities, when employees of Denver are being laid off, and now, I mean, this isn't free money, people. You're going to pay a tremendous amount of interest on this to the tune of another $1 billion. If my kid came to me with a credit card application like this, I might have to knock some sense into it. I mean, the interest load on this upon an already highly taxed citizenry for projects that aren't absolutely necessary, like an American Indian Cultural Embassy, while real employees to the city of Denver are being laid off and illegal immigrants were given 6 months of apartment complex living, goes to show, from my perspective, that the city leadership has no idea what they're doing. It's typical progressive kind of love affair with bizarre projects while ignoring basic infrastructure that would improve the city and actually help generate revenue for it. That's my take on this.
Yeah,
So-
and the other problem I got, though, with this, unfortunately, and I dislike the idea of floating the bonds, and the interest on the other end is going to be difficult. But the one thing before we wrap up the conversation on this that I do want to put on the table is, isn't it interesting how it's the Democrats that are in charge of Denver looking at increasing debt and deficit spending when nationally it's a totally different party that was perfectly fine passing a big, beautiful bill that increased the debt and deficit spending.
Good
So
point.
at the core, I want to go back to, and we talk about it on the show a lot, that many times this isn't necessarily a political principle. It's just, do I get mine? Both sides are okay with deficits and deficit spending as long as they get theirs. And this is a perfect example, in my mind, of the Democrats and those leading the Denver city coming in and trying to get theirs. Because this list, as Jeff and I have walked through, you may agree on some of them, you may disagree on others, but I think that universally we can all come to a conclusion that this is excessive.
9474 pointing out that the city of Denver and county has already spent millions renovating Park Hill Golf Course. I wonder, Bill, if that's going to be like one of those boondoggles where they just hide a bunch of money paid off to their friends. You know, like, oh, you spent $1 billion on a golf course conversion into a park, and this bill said you're already 3/4 of the way there even before you begin. I wonder if that's just a place where they're going to hide a ton of money.
Yeah,
well,
Jeff, just got an angry phone call off the air that we're mad because neither one of us live in Denver. They're basically just saying that we should just shut our mouths and we have no idea what we're talking about. It makes it very angry that since we're not there and we don't live there, we don't work there, that we shouldn't. And this is the only thing I'm going to say is that I grew up there. I grew up near downtown. Denver is still close to my heart. I still pay attention to it. I have friends that live there. So... And also, it's the Denver metro area, and how the core urban part of the city goes does do a lot to what's going outside in the suburbs. I never thought that I would be a suburb kid. Didn't want to live in the suburbs in the area that I am now, but I'm very happy with where I've planted my roots. But I will never forget where I came from, and I will never forget growing up in Denver. And it will always be important to me. And because of that, I will always try to look out for the best interests of those that still live and still work in Denver, even though I am not there. That's all we're doing. You may dislike it because we're not there. Well, that's okay. But just make sure that if you live and work in Denver, then shut your mouth when anybody talks about anything in Aurora. If that's your perspective.
If we're placing wolves in places where people didn't vote for them, that idea of you don't live here, you don't get to have a say, ship sailed a long time ago.
Excellent point.
Excellent point. So tell me, please, give me a call and tell me how $29 million for Santa Fe Arts District streetscape, including a beautification and landscaping of the Santa Fe Arts District, is so important that you're willing to double the amount you got to pay back on that at this critical moment, while city employees are losing their jobs. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Capitalist Law Text line at 720-819-5115. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
everybody looks forward to. They even stop Bill Thorpe to tell him how much they love You Choose the News.
Yes. Shout out to my new friends, Molly and Dave. I got to meet them at one of the grocery stores here in the metro area this weekend. They stopped me and said, "Hey, I know you." I'm like, "Oh, crap, where have you seen me before?" That was awkward. But it was great to meet them. Good morning, Molly and Dave. I appreciate you playing along with us every day. This is You Choose the News, America's favorite fake radio news game show. Yes. Now, here's how we do it. Browse the interwebs. Really, really dumb stories. I give them even worse headlines. And so we can play this fake radio news game show. Why? Well, because nobody in charge has any idea we are being this silly this early in the morning. And so we're going to take full advantage of not being supervised. Oh, wait, I think I said Molly and Dave. It's Holly and Dave. I'm sorry. I think I was thinking about that. It's Holly. I thought about that because there's a reason for that, and it popped in my mind. It's Holly. Holly and Dave. I'm so sorry. I'm such an idiot. It's early. Thus, You Choose the News. Okay. As always, Blake Olson joining us from the newsroom. Gentlemen, here are your choices this morning. Headline number 1, risk assessment. Headline number 2, lighting the way. Headline number 3, riff. And headline number 4, just the best part. Mr. Hunt, your choice, sir.
Just the best part, please.
Yeah, just the best part. Hey, what comes to mind when you think of those really big weddings? Is it the dress? Is it the vows? Is it the colors? Is it the maid or the groomsman? No, it's the party. It's the party. Damn right it's the party. And it's exactly what they're leaning into in the country of India. Gen Z is hosting wedding parties without the wedding. Yes, the dizzying light, the glittering outfits, the lavish spread of food, and atmosphere soaked in celebration. Everything feels extravagant, with the exception of the bride and groom. Yes, it is a hot thing in India right now. No vows, no relatives, no tearful farewells, just a party. Can you feel me?
Isn't that just a club?
Well, the thing is these are ticketed events now. And so they're organized by hotels, clubs, and other companies, and they're designed for fun, but it's around a theme. So they say, people are saying at family weddings, there's so much pressure, rules about dressing up, judgment from relatives. Here, we just get to party and have fun. Ticket prices usually start right around $17 and can go up to about $25. Recently, Sharad Madan, owner of a restaurant who hosted an event, said it's kind of a novelty. It's the key in the hospitality sector, and this is something that is new, and they actually design games. Sometimes they'll have charades, they'll have, name that tune. They'll have things that they organize so that people can play throughout the night. So, yeah. It comes up, yeah. So I think that's kind of neat. The idea of going to that big, giant party, but without the bride and the groom. Kind of interesting. Would you guys go?
No.
No? Why not? What do you have against the big party? Why does Jeff not like parties? What's going on here?
I just like a ticketed event to a wedding reception that's no wedding.
Yeah.
I hardly go to weddings to begin with.
Dude, I don't have to, I'd have to deal with the grunt of the line. Don't worry about, you got to have a good part. You don't have to sit there in church.
Sounds like they've had way too many arranged marriages there.
I want to know what you guys have against a really good party. Inquiring minds want to know.
I want the cake. I love the cake.
Alrighty, now here we go. Blake Olson, your choice, sir. Risk assessment, lighting the way, or riff?
Risk assessment.
Yes, risk assessment. Now, Erica Khan, 33 years old, had recently lost her job. She was a biomedical engineer, and she had lost her job late last year. And so she had some extra time. She figured, I'm going to go spend some time running around. She went out with her dad to the Glen Canyon National Recreation Area last August, and that's when this story gets a little weird. See, Erica, while she was out there, she was taking some pictures of the night sky, and that's when she got accosted by a flying bat. While she was taking pictures, the bat approached and got caught between her camera and her face, actually getting into part of her mouth.
Ooh.
So bat in the mouth, and it bit her. Now it's dark.
Man.
They're out on a cliff. She didn't see it coming and got tangled between her face and the camera. She said it only was probably a few seconds, but it felt longer. And now, at the urging of her travel partner, her father, she did seek care for rabies, because it's important.
Yeah.
Bats can carry rabies.
Right.
However, let's return to the beginning of our story. She had recently been fired. She did not pick up the supplemental COBRA insurance, and her medical bill is now over $20,000. Yeah, $20,000 from a bat bite.
Horrible.
You could be bitten in the mouth by a bat.
I know, and she's like, I'm in my 30s. I didn't think it'd matter, and than a bat bite. I know. All righty, Jeff, final choice this morning, lighting the way or riff?
Riff.
Riff, reading is fundamental. A United Nations report says we need to improve our reports because nobody's reading them. Last year, the UN supported 27,000 meetings, 240 bodies, and they produced more than 1,100 reports. That's a 20% increase since 1990. But they did a study, and they found that nobody reads them. Some of them were downloaded more than 5,000 times, but most of them downloaded fewer than 1,000 times and barely read. They're
surprising.
Yeah, nobody's listening to us. But then again, alrighty, that's the end of Issues and News. Back to you, Jeff.
All right, coming up in the next hour, Democrats are fleeing the state of Texas. Republicans finally got what they wanted.